Liam was the only human in the alien city of Zurine. Years ago, his spaceship had crashed on the edge of their world. He had survived alone in the forest for many days before the Teleri found him. The Teleri were tall, peaceful, and gentle beings with soft gray skin and glowing blue eyes. They spoke in calm voices and lived in high silver buildings that reached the clouds. At first, the Teleri had been unsure about Liam, but after they saw he meant no harm, they allowed him to stay. He worked in the learning center, helped teach young Teleri about Earth, and shared stories about his home planet. He smiled often, kept to himself, and followed the city rules. But there was one secret he kept hidden from everyone. Inside his small living space, behind a false drawer under his bed, he kept a journal. It was old, with a cracked leather cover. He wrote in it every night before sleeping. It was not just a diary, it was filled with thoughts he could never say out loud. He wrote about what he saw in Zurine, the rules that confused him, and the strange silence of the city. He also wrote about his fear. He didn't fully trust the council. He noticed how some Teleri avoided asking questions. He saw how the leaders always smiled but said little. And deep inside, he wondered if there was something more going on. He wrote everything in the journal, page after page. He thought no one would ever find it. He never told anyone, not even Arena. Arena was a young Teleri who visited Liam often. She was different from the others. She asked many questions and liked learning about Earth. She had a quiet laugh and always carried a small notebook to draw things Liam described. Liam liked her company. She was curious, kind, and never judged his ideas. One evening, Liam left early to pick up food from the gardens outside the city. He forgot to close the bottom drawer fully. Arena stopped by, as she often did, to bring him a new type of fruit she had found. When she entered his room, she saw the drawer slightly open. She had never touched his things before, but this time, something told her to look. Maybe it was just curiosity, or maybe something felt strange. She slowly pulled the drawer open and saw the old journal. It looked out of place, unlike anything the Teleri used. She opened the cover and saw the first page. This world is quiet, but not peaceful. I feel like I'm walking in a dream where no one is allowed to wake up. Her hands froze. She turned the page and read more. The council smiles too much. No one questions them. The people follow every rule. I think they're afraid, but they don't know it. Her eyes widened. These were not just stories. These were thoughts, strong thoughts. She read about her people, about Liam's worries, and even about her. I trust Arena more than anyone here. But if she knew what I really think, would she still visit me? Arena stopped reading. Her heart beat fast. She wasn't angry. She was surprised, maybe even scared. She never knew Liam had these ideas. The Liam she knew was always calm, kind, and polite. But the words in the journal were different. They were sharper, more honest. She whispered to herself. Who wrote this? Just then, the door opened. Liam stepped inside, holding a small box of garden fruit. He smiled when he saw her, but his smile faded quickly. He saw the journal in her hands. Arena stood up slowly. She didn't speak right away. Liam didn't either. The silence felt heavy. You weren't supposed to read that, Liam said finally. I didn't mean to, Arena replied. But I did. He put the box down and sat on the edge of the bed. He didn't look angry, just tired. It's just my thoughts, he said. Nothing more. You think the council is hiding something? She asked. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I write what I feel. If I can't say it out loud, at least I can say it in here. Arena looked down at the journal again. You wrote about everything. About us. About me. You said you don't trust this place. I said I don't fully trust it. That's different. Still. She said, if someone else found this, they might think you want to cause trouble. I don't, Liam said. I've never broken the rules. But writing this is not just writing, Arena said. Not here. Not in Zurine. Liam looked up at her. Do you think I'm wrong? Arena didn't answer right away. She closed the journal and handed it back to him. I don't know, she said. But you noticed things I never thought about. Maybe that's what scares me. She walked to the door, paused, and looked back. Be careful, Liam. Some people might not understand what you wrote. And the council, they understand even less. Then she left. Liam sat there, holding the journal in both hands. He had always felt safe in Zureen. But now, with just one mistake, everything had changed. He placed the journal back in the drawer and closed it tight. This time, he made sure it clicked shut. But outside, in the quiet city, the winds of change had started to blow, and someone else had seen Arena leave Liam's room. The secret would not stay safe for long. Liam couldn't sleep that night. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The journal was now hidden again, but it felt like the drawer was glowing, not with light, but with danger. Arena had read it. She knew what he really thought, and though she hadn't said anything to hurt him, Liam couldn't forget the worry in her voice. Her warning echoed in his mind. Be careful, Liam. He sat up and looked out the window. Zureen was quiet, as always. The silver tower stood still under the soft moonlight. The wind passed through the narrow streets without sound. The Tulare city was peaceful on the outside, but now Liam felt the tension under the surface. If Arena could be surprised by his words, what would others think? What would the council do? The next morning, Liam went to the learning center like usual. He taught young Tulare about Earth's animals and history. They laughed when he made elephant sounds and asked many questions about birds that could fly. For a short while, Liam smiled again, but behind the laughter, he kept looking toward the door, expecting someone to walk in and ask about the journal. Arena didn't come that day. That made Liam worry even more. Later in the evening, he walked toward the forest path near the city edge. It was where he and Arena often met to talk away from others. He waited under the tall silver leaf trees, the ones that shimmered when touched by wind. After a few minutes, she appeared. Her steps were slow. She looked serious. Liam spoke first. I didn't think you'd come. I had to think, Arena said. About what I wrote, yes, and about what it means. They sat on a stone bench. Near the tree roots, a few small light bugs flew round them, glowing softly. Arena held her notebook in her lap, but didn't open it. I read the whole thing, she said. All your pages. Liam didn't reply. He just nodded slowly. You notice things most of us never see, she said, like how the leaders answer without saying much, how the same people speak at every meeting, even how no one questions anything. Liam looked at her. So you understand now? I understand why you wrote it, but I don't know what to do with it. You don't have to do anything, he said. Just forget it. I can't. It changed how I see everything. Liam leaned forward. You said it yourself. If someone else finds out, it could be trouble. The council won't ask questions. They'll just react. I know, she said. But that's what scares me the most. A soft sound came from behind the trees. Both turned quickly, but it was only a small creature running through the grass. Still, it reminded them they weren't truly alone. Arena looked at Liam again. Did you ever think of showing it to someone? No, I only wrote to stay sane. I thought if I said these things out loud, they'd send me away, or worse, they'd stop trusting me. Then why keep writing? Because it helped me stay human. It reminded me who I am. Arena was quiet for a while. She opened her notebook, flipped through the pages, and stopped at one drawing. She showed it to Liam. It was a sketch of him teaching the young Tulare. His smile was big in the drawing. That's how I always saw you, she said. Happy, calm, peaceful. And now, he asked. She closed the notebook. Now I see. You clearer, and I still think you're good. But I also think your words might scare the wrong people. Liam stood up. Then I should destroy it. No, she said quickly. Don't do that. It's not wrong to think. You didn't harm anyone. You just saw the truth under the surface. But truth is dangerous here. Arena stood too. Yes, but maybe that's why we need it. Liam looked at her carefully. Do you want others to read it? No, she said. Not yet, but I want to understand it more. I want to know why I never asked the same questions. A breeze passed between them. The light bugs floated higher and disappeared into the trees. Then Arena said something that made Liam's heart beat faster. Someone saw me leave your room yesterday. He took a deep breath. Who? I don't know. I felt eyes on me, and today. Two people from the council looked at me strangely. Liam's voice was low. They know. Maybe not everything, she said. But they're watching. Liam walked in circles, thinking fast. I have to move the journal. If they search my room, it can't be there. I can help, Arena said. I know a place in the forest. A small cave near the water roots. No one goes there. Will you take it? She nodded. Tomorrow. Meet me early. Liam looked into her eyes. Are you sure? I'm not sure of anything, she said. But I trust you. And now, I trust your words. That night, Liam returned to his room. He took out the journal, wrapped it in a piece of cloth, and held it close. He looked around at the room that had been his home for years. It no longer felt safe. It felt like a trap. The next morning, the sun rose slowly behind the silver towers. Liam didn't go to the learning center. He took a side path into the forest, journal in his bag. Arena was already waiting. Near the tall tree with the broken branch, neither of them spoke. They began walking together, deeper into the trees, and, not far behind, quiet footsteps followed. Liam and Arena moved quietly through the tall trees. The forest outside Zureen was calm. The soft blue leaves rustled gently in the wind. Birds with glassy wings flew over their heads, and small animals peeked from behind the roots. The path was hidden. Only a few people ever came this far. Arena knew the way well. She had explored this area since she was young. Liam carried a small bag across his shoulder. Inside it was the journal, wrapped in cloth. He kept checking behind them, worried they were being followed. Arena noticed his worry. No one followed. "US," she said. "I checked the back trail 3 times. I hope you're right," Liam said. "But yesterday you said someone saw you leave my room. That means they might be watching both of us." Arena nodded. "That's why we have to hide the journal now, before they decide to act." They reached a stream that flowed over smooth white stones. Arena stepped across the rocks with ease. Liam followed more slowly, trying not to slip. On the other side, there was a small hill. Arena pointed to a crack in the stone wall covered with vines. "It's there," she said. "A small cave. It's dry and deep inside." Liam pulled the vines away and stepped inside. The air was cool and still. He walked a few steps forward and saw a hollow space carved into the rock. It wasn't large, but it was enough. He knelt down, opened the bag, and placed the journal inside. He covered it with a soft cloth, then placed flat stones over it. "It's done," he said, standing up. Arena looked around. Even if someone comes, they won't find it easily. Liam took a deep breath. "Thank you. I couldn't do this alone." She smiled. "You're not alone anymore." They sat outside the cave for a few minutes. The sun peeked through the leaves above. Liam watched a long line of insects crawling across a branch. Everything in the forest moved with quiet purpose. But back in Zureen, things were changing. "I keep thinking about what I wrote," Liam said. "I never expected it to mean something. It was just how I felt. But feelings matter," Arena said. "Sometimes they open doors we don't even see." Liam looked at her. "Do you think I made a mistake?" "No," she said. "You noticed something real. You just didn't know how heavy the truth could be." They walked back slowly. The path felt longer. Liam knew he couldn't relax anymore. His words were no longer safe. And even if the journal was hidden, the danger was not gone. When they reached the city, Arena turned to him. "Go straight home. I'll meet you tomorrow." "Where will you be?" "I need to talk to someone," she said. "Someone I trust." Liam wanted to ask more, but she was already walking away. Later that evening, Liam sat by his window. He stared at the city lights. Zureen looked calm, but now he noticed more. 2 council watchers stood near the learning center. A third walked by his building twice in 1 hour. The smiles on their faces looked thin and forced. He knew they were waiting, watching. The next morning, Liam stepped out for fresh air. He didn't go far, just stood near the door and looked around. That's when he saw them, 2 council agents, walking toward him. They wore long robes with silver lines. The the symbol of trust and power in Zureen. Their faces were calm, their steps slow, but Liam's heart began to race. One of them spoke in a soft voice. "Good morning, Liam. May we speak?" "With you?" He nodded. Of course. They followed him into his room. One of them looked around, eyes scanning the shelves and walls. "We heard you've been writing," said the second agent. "Just old memories," Liam said. "Stories from Earth. May we see them?" "I don't keep much here. Just simple things," Liam replied. He handed them a small notebook filled with drawings of Earth animals and stories for children. It was real but harmless. The agents flipped through the pages. One of them smiled. "You're a careful man, Liam." "I tried to be." The other agent stepped closer. "And what about Irina? She visits you?" "Often." "Do you speak of the council?" "We speak of many things. Learning, Earth, dreams." "Nothing more." The agent stood still for a moment. Then the first one nodded. "Very well. Thank you for your time." They turned and left. Liam closed the door behind them and locked it. He leaned against the door and took a deep breath. They were suspicious. They didn't believe him. But they had found nothing. For now, that evening, Irina returned. Her eyes were sharp and serious. "I spoke to Laren," she said. "He works in the council's archive. He told me something strange." "What is it?" "He said there's a list, a quiet list. Names of people the council watches. People who ask too many questions." Liam looked at her closely. "Are we on that list?" "I am," Irina said. "And now, so are you?" Liam sat down slowly. "Then it's worse than I thought." "Yes," Irina said. "But Laren also said something else. He said there are others, Teleri, who are starting to wonder. People who read old stories, who don't trust every word the council says. There are more like us." Irina nodded. "Not many, but enough. Maybe enough to help." Liam stood. His voice was quiet but firm. "Then we need to protect them. And we need to protect the journal." Irina looked out the window. The city lights blinked slowly. The wind moved the curtains gently. "We must be careful," she said. "One wrong step, and they'll come for us." Liam nodded. "Then we won't give them a reason." "Not yet." Outside, the two council agents stood in the shadows, watching, waiting. But the truth had already started to move, and it could not be stopped. Liam stayed indoors the next day. He kept his window open but didn't step outside. He watched the streets of Zureen carefully. Everything looked normal at first. Children played near the garden square. Adults walked slowly to their work towers. The silver buildings reflected the soft blue sky. But Liam knew something had changed. People whispered more. He noticed two neighbors look at him, then speak quietly and walk away. A friend who once waved every morning now passed by without a word. The calm of the city felt like silence before a storm. Irina arrived in the evening. She wore a brown cloak that covered her head and arms. She didn't knock loudly. Just a soft tap at the door. Liam let her in quickly. She sat near the window and looked outside before speaking. "They're spreading stories about you," she said. "Who?" Liam asked. "Some of the elders. Maybe even the council. I heard two workers say you've been keeping private writings. They think you're planning something." Liam sighed. "They don't know what's in the journal." "But they don't need to," Irina replied. "All they need is fear." Liam walked across the room, thinking hard. "Then it's only a matter of time. Someone will search this room." "I told you to move it," Irina said. "I did. It's safe now." She nodded. "Good. But things are moving fast. I saw council guards near the learning center, and two agents visited Laren. He said they asked about both of us. Did he tell them anything?" "No. He's on our side. But he's scared." Liam sat down across from her. "Then the question is, what now?" Irina looked serious. "I think it's time we find others." "Others like us?" She nodded. "Laren told me about a quiet group. They don't speak in public, but they meet at night outside the city wall. They believe the council has too much power." "Do they know about the journal?" Liam asked. "No, but maybe they should." Liam paused. "I don't know. If the wrong person reads it," Irina leaned closer, "they already fear you." Maybe it's time they hear you. That night, they left together, wearing long cloaks to blend in. They walked through narrow paths and old roads until they reached the edge of Zureen. There, a small tunnel led under the outer wall. It had been used long ago by workers. Now, only a few knew it still existed. They entered the tunnel with slow steps. The air was cold and smelled like wet stone. At the end of the tunnel, a small round room opened up, lit by soft stone lamps. Inside, 5 Teleri waited. One of them stood when they entered. He was older, with dark gray eyes and a quiet voice. "You brought him," the old Teleri said to Arena. "This is Liam," she replied. "He's the one I told you about." The others looked at Liam. Their faces showed both interest and concern. The old one nodded. "We've heard your name. We've heard about your journal." Liam stayed calm. "I didn't write it for others. It was just for me. But your words hold power," the old one said. "And now the city feels that power." Another Teleri stepped forward. A younger woman with short silver hair. "Is it true?" she asked. "Did you really write about the council's silence? About the fear in our hearts?" "Yes," Liam answered. "I wrote what I saw. I wrote what I felt. I don't want war. I just want truth." The group looked at one another. Then the older man spoke again. "Let us read it. Let us understand what you see." Liam hesitated. He looked at Arena. She gave a small nod. "It's hidden outside the city," he said. "I'll bring it tomorrow." The old man smiled. "Then we wait." Back in the city, a storm was growing. The council agents searched Liam's room early the next morning. They found nothing, but that made them more suspicious. They questioned his neighbors, even visited the learning center. People began to whisper louder. Some said Liam was a traitor. Others said he was brave. That same day, Liam met Arena again. They went into the forest, careful and quiet. Liam dug up the journal from the hidden cave and placed it in a cloth bag. As they returned to the city, Arena spoke softly. "Once others read this, we can't turn back." "I know," Liam said. "But maybe it's time." That night, they returned through the tunnel. The group waited, just like before. Liam handed the journal to the old man. The room was silent as he opened it. He read the first page slowly, then passed it to the next person. Each member read a few pages. No one spoke. No one laughed. No one got angry. They just read. After a long time, the old man closed the journal and placed it gently on the stone table. "These words are not evil," he said. "They are honest. But the council will not see it that way," said the young woman with silver hair. "No," the old man said. "But now we have a choice. Stay silent or begin to speak." Liam looked around the room. "I didn't ask for this, but it came to you," Arena said, "and you carried it with care." The old man looked at Liam. "You gave us something rare, a clear voice, and we will protect it." The group agreed. They would keep copies of the journal, share them only with those they trusted. Quietly, carefully, no noise, just truth. But not far away, inside the council tower, a report was written that very night. It listed the names. Liam.A or INA. The storm was no longer coming. It had already begun. The next morning in Zureen was not like the others. There was no soft music in the streets, no laughter from the gardens, no gentle greetings between neighbors. Something had shifted. Liam opened his window and looked outside. 2 council agents stood near the corner. One of them held a list in his hand. Another agent spoke quietly to a group of people. The crowd nodded, then walked away without saying a word. The silence felt heavy. Liam knew what was happening. The council was looking for something or someone. His time was running out. There was a knock on the door. It was not loud, but sharp and quick. Liam opened it with care. Arena stood there, her face pale. She stepped inside without waiting. "They came to my home," she said. "They asked questions. They didn't search, but they watched every move I made." Liam closed the door behind her. "They came here too. I think they're building something, a case, a reason. They want others to turn against you," Arena said. "They want fear to do their work." Liam walked to the table and sat down. His hands rested flat. "We have to do something before they act," Arena pulled out a folded map from her coat. She placed it on the table. It showed the city, the forest, and beyond that, the high riverlands. There's an old transport path here, she said, pointing to the outer edge of the forest. It hasn't been used in years, but it's still safe. It leads to the far provinces. You want us to leave the city? Liam asked. For now, she said. If they arrest you, they might erase everything. The journal, the truth, all of it. Liam looked at her. And the others? The ones who read the journal? They'll be careful. They're hiding the copies. They agreed to wait. Liam stood and looked out the window again. He saw some more agents speaking to a young worker. They're moving faster than we thought, he said. We have to leave tonight. Arena nodded. We'll meet near the old south gate. I'll bring supplies. You bring the journal. Liam walked to the shelf and picked up a small bag. He had moved the journal from the forest cave 2 nights ago. He didn't want it to be far from him now. He placed it carefully inside the bag. I'm ready, he said. That evening, as the sky turned orange and pink, Liam left his home. He wore a long cloak and moved with slow steps. The streets were quiet. People watched him from behind curtains. No one spoke. No one offered help. He reached the edge of the city, near the old south gate. It hadn't been used in years, but the lock was broken. Arena waited behind a stone pillar. She carried a small pack and a water flask. You're here, she said. So are you? Liam replied. They pushed the gate open and stepped into the wild grass beyond. The path was narrow and filled with roots, but it led into the deep forest. They walked quickly but carefully. The sky darkened, and stars began to shine above the trees. After nearly 2 hours of walking, they reached a tall stone bridge. It crossed a small river and led to the old transport station. The building was broken, but the path behind it was clear. We'll rest here, Arena said. Then keep going at first light. They sat near the bridge. Liam took out the journal and looked at it in the soft moonlight. So much had changed because of it. Words that were never meant to be shared had now touched the minds of others. It was no longer just a journal. It had become something greater. I still remember the first page I wrote, Liam said. It was the night I arrived in Zreen. I couldn't sleep, so I just started writing. You felt alone. Arena said double quotes yes. But now, even with danger all around, I feel less alone. Arena smiled. Because you found someone who listened. Liam nodded. And now I'm asking you to carry this. Wait with me. You're not asking, she said. I already chose. The wind blew gently through the trees. A bird called in the distance. For a moment, the forest felt peaceful. But that peace didn't last. A sound came from the path behind them. Quiet footsteps. Then another dot. Liam stood quickly and looked toward. The shadows. 3 figures appeared under the trees. They were dark robes, council agents. Run. Arena whispered. They grabbed their things and ran across the bridge. Behind them, the agents shouted, Halt, stop now. Liam didn't stop. He held the bag close. Arena led the way, turning sharply into a hidden path that curved behind tall rocks. The agents followed, but the night was on their side. They ran through the forest for half an hour, never stopping. Only when the sound of footsteps faded did they rest again. Liam sat down, breathing hard. Arena checked the bag. The journal is safe, she said. Liam looked back. They were waiting. They must have followed us from the city. We can't go back now, Liam said. No, Arena agreed. But we can go forward. They followed the old path again, walking until the sky turned pale. At sunrise, they reached the high riverlands. From there, they could see far across. The valleys, villages, and green fields stretched into the distance. Liam sat on a rock and looked at the land ahead. What now? He asked. We find others, Arena said. We spread the truth carefully, wisely. And the council, they'll keep chasing. But now the truth has wings. Liam opened the journal once more. He turned to a blank page. With a quiet breath, he wrote, We ran not, because we feared the truth, but because we carried it. Arena stood beside him, and together, they stepped into the unknown. The sun rose over Zreen, casting soft light on the tall silver towers. The The city was waking slowly. But today was not like other days. The wide city square, usually filled with peaceful talk and gentle movement, was crowded. A large crowd had gathered, more than Liam had ever seen. There were Teleri from many parts of the city, standing close together, whispering. At the center stood a tall platform made of polished stone. Council members sat in silence on the platform. Their faces were calm but serious. At the front stood Marin, the highest leader of the council. His voice was clear and cold as he spoke to the crowd. People of Zureen, today we must speak about a matter of great concern. A human named Liam has been found guilty of spreading dangerous ideas against our peace. He has hidden writings that question the council's decisions. This cannot be allowed. Liam stood near the edge of the square. His hands were tied behind his back. He felt the eyes of many on him. Some looked angry, some confused, others afraid. Arena was beside him. Her face was pale but strong. She did not look away. Marin continued, Liam's writings have caused fear. They question our leaders and suggest division. We have laws to protect our unity. Those who break these laws must face justice. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some voices whispered support for the council. Others were quiet, unsure what to think. Liam spoke softly. But the whole square heard. I did not mean to harm anyone. I wrote what I saw and felt. I hope to find truth, not to cause pain. Marin raised a hand, and the crowd fell silent again. The council must protect Zureen. If one voice can cause such doubt, others may follow. This is dangerous. Therefore, Liam is sentenced to exile. Beyond the cold mountains, gasps came from the crowd. Exile was the harshest punishment. To be sent far from the city was to lose everything. Just as the guards stepped forward to take Liam away, a clear voice rang out. Wait! The crowd turned. Arena stood up and stepped forward to the edge of the platform. Her voice was strong. He is telling the truth, she said. Liam did not write to harm us. He wrote to help us see what we ignore. Some in the crowd gasped louder. A few whispered. How dare she speak like that? Marin frowned. Arena, this is not your place. She did not back down. It is my place, because I read the journal, and I believe him. The crowd was silent. Many looked at Arena with surprise, some with anger, but others looked thoughtful. Another voice joined Arena. A young man stepped forward. We all see things differently now, he said. The silence we kept is broken. We must listen. More voices rose. A small group stood beside Arena and the young man. They spoke quietly, but with courage. Marin's face grew darker. He looked at the crowd and spoke with more force. Enough. This gathering is over. But the people were no longer quiet. They began to shout softly. Some called for truth, others for peace. They did not want exile or fear. They wanted understanding. The council members looked at one another. Their control was slipping. Marin nodded to the guards. Release him. The guards untied Liam's hands. He stepped forward slowly. He looked at the crowd, at Arena, and felt a new hope. The crowd began to cheer softly, growing louder. The fear was fading. Arena smiled. This is only the beginning. Liam took a deep breath. I will keep writing. Not in secret, but for all to see, for us to learn. The city square was quiet again. But now, the silence was filled with promise. The council had listened, and the people were ready to change. After the trial in the city square, life in Zureen changed slowly but surely. Liam and Arena walked through the silver streets with new hope. The council was no longer silent. It listened. The people talked more freely, sharing their thoughts. Without fear, the journal, once hidden, had become a symbol of truth and courage. Liam spent his days teaching again. This time, not just about Earth, but about asking questions and seeking answers. The young Teleri listened carefully, their eyes bright with curiosity. They wanted to know about the world beyond their city and about the changes happening inside their hearts. Arena worked with others who believed in a better future. She helped organize small groups where people could speak honestly. They called these groups the Circles of Truth. The circles met in quiet places under trees, in old halls, and sometimes in secret rooms. There, everyone could share ideas without fear. One afternoon, Liam and Irina stood together near the highest tower in the city. The sun was warm, and the wind was soft. They looked out over Zureen, its silver buildings shining under the blue sky. "Do you remember when I first wrote the journal?" Liam asked quietly. Irina smiled. "You were afraid and alone." "But I wasn't really alone," Liam said. "You found me. You believed me." She took his hand gently. "And now, many believe. The city is waking up." They saw children playing in the garden below. Some of the young Teleri carried small notebooks, drawing and writing their own stories. It was a new beginning. Later, in a meeting with the council, Marin spoke differently. His voice was calm but open. "We must learn to listen," he said. "Change is not weakness, it is strength." Liam nodded. Truth and peace can live together. The council agreed to share more information with the people. They promised to answer questions and to stop hiding behind silence. It was not perfect, but it was a start. Days turned into weeks. Zureen grew brighter in spirit. The fear that once filled the air was replaced by hope. Liam's journal was copied and shared quietly among those who wanted to build a better city. One evening, Liam and Irina walked to the edge of the city where the forest began. The stars twinkled above. The city lights glowed softly behind them. "Do you think we changed everything?" Liam asked. Irina looked at the stars and smiled. "We changed the beginning of everything." Liam reached into his bag and pulled out a new notebook. He opened it and began to write. "Today, we write not in secret, but with open hearts." Irina leaned close. Together, Liam nodded. Together. The wind moved the leaves gently. The city of Zureen was quiet but alive. It was no longer a place of silence and fear. It was a place of voices, of stories, of hope. And this was only the start of a new story.